Assalamualaikum and very good morning. My name is Emarmi Rahman and I'm 8th semester student from OU Hbec203, currently pursuing a Bachelor of Early Childhood Education with honors. Today, I'm excited to share my presentation for the subject Hbec203 Child Behavior Management as part of the May 2025 semester. I hope what I present today will be meaningful and relatable for all of us as future educators. Thank you for listening. I chose this social learning theory because it effectively explains how children learn behaviors through observation, imitation, and social interaction. This theory emphasizes the powerful influence of role models in shaping a child's actions, making it especially relevant in early childhood setting where children are constantly observing adults and peers. It supports the use of positive role modeling, which is essential for guiding appropriate behavior without relying on punishment. By showing children what positive behavior looks like, such as sharing, being kind, or following instructions, educators can encourage similar actions. Additionally, social learning theory is practical for managing behavior in early childhood classrooms because it promotes learning through everyday interactions, making it easier for children to understand and adopt expected behaviors. So this theory is from Albert Bandura, and he's known as Canadian-American psychologist best for developing the social learning theory in the 60s, which suggested that people learn new behaviors by watching others and imitating their actions. His famous studies, the Bobo doll experiment in 1961, demonstrated how children imitate aggressive behaviors. This experiment provided strong evidence that children learn and replicate behaviors simply by observing others, even without direct reinforcement. And he believed that learning is fundamentally a social process, meaning it happens through interaction with others rather than in isolation. And according to Bandura, children learn not only by doing, but also by watching the behaviors and reactions of parents, teachers, peers, and media figures. So these three key ideas continue to influence modern education, child development, and behavioral management strategies today. And now let me explain what observational learning is and why it's a key part of Bandura's social learning theory. Observational learning happens when we learn and adopt behaviors simply by watching others. This is how children, especially in early childhood, often pick up habits, language, social skills, and even emotional responses. They tend to model the behaviors of people who are similar to them, like the Bandura's Bobo doll experiment. Children who watch adults act aggressively toward the Bobo doll were more likely to imitate that aggressive behavior themselves. It clearly showed that children learn by watching the actions and consequences experienced by others. And there are 4 steps in observational learning. So now let's go through each one. The key step number 1 is attention. For learning to occur, the observer must first pay attention to the model's behavior. Not every behavior we see is worth remembering, so the model needs to be interesting or important to capture attention. If the child doesn't notice the behavior or isn't engaged, learning won't happen. Next is retention, which means the child must remember what they saw. The behavior needs to be stored mentally, either for immediate imitation or to be used later. Even if the child is not copying the behavior right away, they need to have a strong memory of it for it to influence their future actions. Then, the third key step is reproduction. This refers to the child's ability to actually perform the behavior. Sometimes a child may remember the behavior but can't reproduce it because of physical limitations or lack of practice. For example, a young child might see someone do a cartwheel but won't be able to do it themselves without physical skill or coordination. Then finally, motivation determines whether the child wants to imitate the behavior. So this is based on consequences they observe. If the behavior is rewarded, the child is more likely to copy it. But if it leads to punishment, they might avoid doing it. So this is called vicarious reinforcement, learning from the consequences others experience. So observational learning helps us understand how children can learn so much just by watching. It shows us the power of role models and reinforces the need to create positive, nurturing environments in early childhood settings. Now, let's take a look at the important role that modeling plays in social learning theory. So, in this theory, a model refers to any individual whose behavior is observed and possibly imitated by others. These individuals provide examples of different types of behaviors, such as being helpful, aggressive, or kind, which children may observe, remember, and then copy. Children do not imitate everything they see. Instead, they pay close attention to certain models, especially those they admire, trust, or see often, and then encode their behavior. Later, they may choose to reproduce what they have seen. This process can happen regardless of whether the behavior is seen as socially or culturally appropriate. However, children are more likely to imitate behaviors that society reinforces or rewards, such as being polite and helpful. So, Bandura identified 3 types of models that influence learning. The first one is life models. These are real people who are performing behaviors right in front of them, such as teachers showing them how to share things during class. Then the second one is verbal instructional models. This happens when someone explains or describes a behavior and the child learns by listening and following instruction. And the third one is symbolic models. These are characters in books, movies, or media who demonstrate behaviors that children can learn from even without meeting them in real life. So through these models, children learn vicariously. That is, they gain understanding and shape their behavior by watching others even without direct experience. So lastly, Bandura's research highlighted several factors that influence whether a child will imitate a behavior. These include how much they like or respect the model, whether the model was rewarded or punished for the behavior, and how relevant or easy the behavior is to copy. This shows how powerful role modeling can be in shaping a child's action in both home and school environment. Now, right to slide 7, modeling in the classroom. So in the classroom, modeling plays a key role in shaping children's behavior. For example, when the teacher consistently uses a calm and respectful tone, children tend to mirror that tone in their own speech. This helps create a peaceful classroom atmosphere, and setting clear routine and using visual cues like picture schedules or rule charts also provide children with structure and consistency, which help them understand what is expected. In addition, using peer role models such as assigning a class star or line leader encourages positive behavior. When children see their friends being praised for following rules or helping others, they are more likely to imitate those same behaviors. This approach aligns well with social learning theory, which emphasizes learning through observation. And to support positive behavior in young children, it's important to use consistent and encouraging strategies. One effective method is to praise good behavior publicly, such as complimenting a child who is sharing or helping a friend. This not only boosts the child's confidence but also encourages others to follow the same behavior. Another useful tool is using behavior chart or stickers. So these visual aids help children track their progress and feel a sense of achievement when they reach their goals. It's a fun and motivating way to reinforce positive actions. Lastly, we can create social stories that show examples of positive interactions. These short, simple stories can help children to understand how to behave in certain situations by showing them what to do and why it's important. Together, these strategies help to build a supportive learning environment where positive behavior is encouraged and repeated. Off to the next slide. When managing this behavior using the social learning theory, one effective strategy is to redirect the child's attention to positive role models. For example, if a child is acting out, we can point out a peer who is showing the desired behavior, such as sitting quietly or sharing. This helps the child see what is expected without feeling scolded. It's also important to avoid giving too much attention to negative behavior. Children may repeat certain actions if they notice it gets them attention, even if it's negative. Instead, we focus on our energy or reinforcing positive behaviors, which encourages children to repeat them. And lastly, consistency is key. By staying consistent with our classroom rules and using rewards fairly, children begin to understand what behaviors are expected and what the outcomes will be. This helps build a stable learning environment where children feel safe and guided. Now, this slide shows a clear example of how social learning theory can be applied in a real classroom situation. We begin with problem behavior, such as a child who struggles with social interactions, maybe by grabbing toys or use unkind words. Instead of punishing the child, teacher can use social learning theory to guide change. The teacher starts by modeling positive behavior, such as praising children who are playing nicely or speaking kindly. Peers also play an important role. When children see their classmates being kind and getting praise, they are more likely to copy that behavior. Next, when the child begins to imitate the positive actions, the teacher gives reinforcement like saying, "Wow, I love how you use your word. That's a great way to be a good friend." And finally, the teacher strengthens learning through role play, giving children chances to practice and repeat the expected behavior in a safe, supportive setting. This example highlights how children can successfully learn and change their behavior through observations, imitation, and encouragement, just as Bandura's theory suggests. And social learning theory offers several important benefits in early childhood education. First, it helps build respectful relationships between teachers and children, as well as among their peers. When educators model positive interactions, such as using polite language and showing empathy, children are more likely to imitate these respectful behaviors. Second, it supports emotional development by observing how the adults manage their emotions, like calming down when frustrated or expressing their feelings appropriately. Children will learn healthy emotional responses that they can apply in their own lives. And then, last one, social learning theory strengthens classroom routines. When children see consistent routines and positive behavior being modeled by both teachers and peers, they begin to understand what is expected of them and are more likely to follow these all routines independently. So overall, this theory creates a supportive learning environment that helps children grow socially, emotionally, and behaviorally. So in conclusion, Albert Bandura's social learning theory highlights the importance of learning through observation. So children often watch and imitate the behaviors of those around them, which means that as teachers, we play a crucial role as their role models. When we model positive behaviors such as kindness, patience, and cooperation, children are more likely to adopt these behaviors themselves. By consistently promoting and reinforcing positive actions, we create a supportive and respectful classroom environment that encourages better learning, social development, and overall behavior management. So thank you for your time and attention throughout my presentation. I hope the points I have shared today have provided some helpful insight into managing child behavior more positively and effectively. Have a great day. Thanks again.